How's it going, guys? My name is Luke Shao. I'm co-owner of Electric Surf Co.
And I'm Dwayne Anderson, co-owner of Electric Surf Co. And we opened just over 3 years ago.
Yep.
Man, it feels like longer than that, doesn't it?
It has been. So technically, this story probably started about 4 years ago in Dwayne's garage.
Ooh.
So I hit him up when I was doing my thing kind of on the side. I was working on finance, working in finance, and then selling and renting Onewheels on the side, just like in my garage. And that's just a story that I always tell over and over again, and something that my wife loves sharing too, because it was the day when I got all the Onewheels that were, all in our foyer out of the garage into Dwayne's garage. So it was cluttering my house, and my wife was like, "Babe, this is taking over. Like, you need to do something. Like, we can't have this all like in the house."
Do you know how many boards you had?
I had probably at that time maybe like 10 or so boards, and my foyer is not very big, and my garage space is really cluttered.
And those things are big,
Yes,
right? Onewheels are big.
Absolutely, yeah. So I hit up Dwayne and was like, "Hey, man, he had a place that's like right in the heart of downtown Austin, right across from Zilker." And I was like, "Hey, man, I'm doing this Onewheel thing." I was like, "Can I use your garage space?" And he was like, "All right, I like the Onewheel."
Okay, I was gonna say, were you already into the Onewheel culture and all that?
Oh, yeah.
So where are y'all originally from?
I grew up in Dallas, Texas.
Okay, Dallas,
That's where I was
Texas.
born. Yep.
I grew up in Sarasota, Florida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You struck me more as a California guy.
Oh, yeah? Nope.
Yeah,
I
no,
was on the other side of the country.
No, we get that a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's how we met, was one-wheeling.
Okay.
So I host these group rides on Wednesday nights in downtown Austin all the time, and Dwayne was one of the first riders used to come out when I was hosting these things, and we just developed a relationship and a friendship. And when that sparked, I was like, dude, let's do something, and let's sell Onewheels.
And what brought up this sense of community? Like, were you new to Austin, or was it just kind of like you wanted to make more friends? Like, what was the thing that said, hey, man, I got this Onewheel. How many people can I get together with this?
Yeah, so it was, for me, was growing up, my dad would take me on snowboarding trips a lot.
Oh, nice.
And it was always like with, the church community. So it was like 4, 5, 6 families, sometimes a caravan, like, 7 cars going up to Colorado. It was always a big group, right? So when I started hosting these Onewheel group rides, I was like, this feels like a snowboarding trip. We're straight in the streets of Austin. I got my bros with me and everything. We're riding around. And I was like, I'm having that snowboarding feeling without having to buy a plane ticket, a lift ticket, get all geared up and do all that. And I can just have it right here in Austin. So that's where, and I guess to answer your question, since the community came in and getting others involved as well.
What got you into Onewheeling?
I kind of knew about it for a couple years, saw that cool thing, and then when I saw one in person, I was just like, man, I wonder if I could learn how to do that, because that looks so cool. And after sitting on it for a little while, I pulled the trigger on one. There was no local shops or anything like that. I didn't know anybody that had one.
Yep.
And then I just practiced in my yard.
So did you have any, like, were you a skater before? Did you do any action sports?
I had surfing experience, board sport experience.
Nice. Oh, yeah.
But, I wasn't a skater as a kid. The Onewheel is a little bit different, but it's just so cool once you get the hang of it.
Oh,
so cool.
Well, and I like that you said that. Even now we have Electric Surf Shop, right? It's literally on, South Lamar, right?
Yeah.
I always think South Congress. I'm like, South Lamar. But the one thing I always tell people, it's like, cause a lot of people hit me up on my page, like, yo, where can I go check this out, that out? Like, I'm going to be in Austin for a few days. One thing I tell people all the time, it's like, go to the Electric Surf Shop, bring yourself a Onewheel, and just ride around town. Because this, to me, is like one of the prime locations for just having an adventure in Austin. So in my head, I'm like, if I was visiting Austin, first thing I would do is come here, get either an e-board, get an electric bike, something, and then just be like, because how much is it for the day?
They range, so about $69 to $89.
Bro,
so,
you got that's cheaper than parking. That's cheaper than paying for parking in Austin. You could just come down here, get an Uber, post up, get yourself a Onewheel, ride around the town for like less than half of what you'll pay for parking if you're going to be visiting spot to spot. Yo, that's wild.
Yes.
Or at least come try out a Onewheel, right? And see if you're comfortable on it.
Yeah. See, I'm right. The guy that was just here, I'm like, take it, right? Like, I'm always like, you're gonna love it. Just get on with it.
There is no better way to explore a city than on a Onewheel.
And no cooler way than a Onewheel, because if you see the Segways, I'm not hating on Segway. I'm just saying, when you see the Segway group, you're kind of like, but when you see the Onewheel group, you're like, that's a group of badasses right there. So what was so was it just like, yo, I have all this inventory, or was there an actual passion of like, I want to open up a shop that offers this?
Yeah, so I guess there was a lot of things that kind of created the perfect storm, if you will. I mentioned I was doing it on the side. I was still working in finance, and COVID hit. So everyone was getting these stimulus checks that was coincidentally the same price as the Onewheel. So like, wait, the government is sending me $1,800. Wait, Onewheels cost $1,800. Luke's selling Onewheels for $1,800. So it kind of just all like created the perfect storm. That's when I hit up Dwayne. I was like, hey man, let's do this in your garage. And I think he was surprised, like, dude, this guy's showing up at my garage every day, selling and renting these things. Like, let's turn this into something real, you know? And me and him started literally one-wheeling around, looking at storefronts. And because of COVID, there was a lot of empty, storefronts.
Places shut down.
Yeah, and Dwayne found this place, and it was perfect. The perfect storm happened.
Yeah. We decided to both go in on our passion.
Nice.
And see what we can make of it.
And what were you doing before this? Were you also in financing, or?
I'm kind of serial entrepreneur.
Okay, nice.
So there was opportunity to create a new business.
So, and that so this is perfect, because that's one of the reasons I want to do this series is to inspire the entrepreneurs, right? Like, I think, especially how you said, since COVID, since social media, TikTok, everybody is now looking at their passion as a way to make a profit, right? And so there is a lot of entrepreneurs starting up, but the one thing I always kind of, in conversation I have, it's the difficulty, the struggle. Can I do it? Do I need the finances? So what would you advise somebody who, as a serial entrepreneur, it's like, where would you start, or where did you start?
It's not easy. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of persistence and a lot of sacrifice, and there's no guarantee. And to be able to do that with something that's aligned with your passion, that can be like the perfect setup. It's also tricky to not make it so much of a job and to still stay passionate about it, because it is going to require a lot of work. But if you see the bigger goal, the bigger purpose behind that, and you get the right people with you creating it, then turn it into a reality.
There's been this one thing, I think ChatGPT said I coined it, so I got to make sure to capitalize on that. But there's this one thing. So my biggest struggle becoming an entrepreneur the last few years has been the work-life balance myth, right? And everybody's trying to push it on their life. And I think so many times you get discouraged, right? Because when you think about it, we're all bad at balancing those things, right? And the one thing I've been training myself lately has been to do more work-life focus. And so whatever I'm doing at that moment, I need to put all my attention to, right? If I'm a dad, wife, you're getting all my attention. Sons, you're getting all my attention. If I'm one-wheeling with the group, if I'm in the gym, if I'm editing, you need to get all my focus and attention. And what that's done, it's kind of like reverse this work-life balance, where I feel like, okay, I need to do I need to be the dad kicking the soccer ball. I need to do the editing. I need to do the clients. Rather, it's like, no, you deserve all of me at the moment you have me. And I think people will find an error in kind of compartmentalizing, rather than saying, no, when I'm given something, I always think of it as stewardship, right? When I'm given something, whether it's time, opportunity, whatever it is, I need to make sure to maximize that. So in that process, obviously you guys don't just have Onewheels anymore, right? There's e-boards, there's surfboards, there's all this stuff. So what was the moment that you kind of realized, hey, we can now offer more stuff?
I think it was when we realized how niche of a market we were in. Like, originally, we wanted to be mainly board sports. So when we started, we had a land side and a water side, but they're all boards, right? The land side was just Onewheels, electric skateboards, and just boards that you ride on land. And then the water side was the electric jet boards, the electric EFoils, electric stand-up paddle boards, all the water stuff. I mean, that worked for a little bit when Onewheel was really, I guess, blowing up. But we felt a little plateau and started bringing on other e-rides as well. And I think that part of that was including others as well, because while we love one-wheeling, our friends or significant others or whatever, that want to join us, they may not be able to keep up on the Onewheel, So it was nice to give them the, e-bike to ride with us, or the scooter, or something else that they could still enjoy that, that stoke with us. That was a big part of it for me, at least.
Yeah, it was definitely a combination of, okay, we have to adapt if we're going to be able to survive and make this work, and to be able to bring these fun, exciting sports to more people. Like, why not?
Dude, I love that you said niche.
Yeah.
I think that's a word that's been very misused in our culture, especially like social media and all that kind of stuff, because people think a niche is a passion. And a niche is really something at times that you have to carve out for yourself, right? And this, again, one of the reasons, again, you brought it up, like this did not exist before you guys opened up, right? So to be able to offer something, again, I travel a lot for work, and there's so many times where it's like, man, I wish I brought my Onewheel with me, or I wish I had a Onewheel with me, or I wish this and this and that. And so to have something in a city this big with so much to offer, one, that's very niche. But then how you said, well, let's get rid of the stuff that isn't working and let's start adding to the stuff that is working, right? And so I think that's another struggle a lot of entrepreneurs face is sometimes they think, no, I stuck my teeth in this and I put my feet down for this, so it has to work, rather than pivoting. Hey, let's look at the numbers. Let's look at this and that and see where the trend's going. So whose idea was that?
I think we naturally learned that. I mean, I think if it was up to Luke, his passion was with the Onewheels, and he could have ran a Onewheel shop, but really a Onewheel shop would not have been able to pay for rent. Like it's just not going to work. Not as a sustainable business. So we grew that. We grew the concept, and it still has the same idea, the same passion, the same purpose. It's just expanding to more people and turning it into something that can work. Because like you said, this isn't a business that existed, so we're charting new territory and trying to figure out how to make this work.
Yeah, and I think that vision is constantly changing too, as we're growing and figuring out what works and what doesn't.
And we're dealing with like new technology, and it changes too, and it may not stick around if it doesn't catch on. The company might go out of business, and new things come on the market that are like can blow our minds away, and like, wow, what is this thing we're riding? It's so cool. Like I'm thinking of the EFoil in that case, or the flyboard. So it's really exciting to be on that journey.
And the thing for me, like the one thing that I've always enjoyed about Onewheels, and for the longest time, I thought I was the only one until they started kind of putting out more stuff on their socials. But especially because it was COVID, a lot, again, how you said around COVID, that's when it started blowing up more and people started riding. And the one thing I found with Onewheels was it gave me a reason to get out of the house, right? Like when you're walking around, when you're doing stuff, it's like you can look at terrain and then that limits you. But when you have a Onewheel, it's like you can go on dirt, you can go on grass, you can go on cement, you can go here, you can go there, and you can go uphill, you can go downhill. Like all these things, again, as a photographer, when I'm downtown, I was like, okay, I can make it from this part of Congress to this part of Congress, and then I get tired, right? But when I have a Onewheel, I can go from Congress to Lamar, I can go to the Capitol, I can go to UT, and so it just, having a Onewheel opened up an entire world.
Makes the city smaller.
1,000%, man. And that's where, for me, it's like, again, I tell people about these all the time, whether it's buying, who was it? My homie Frank. He's been on a video before, but I remember I met Frank. He was running the South by Southwest building. Saw my Onewheel. He rode it for a couple of times. Like, oh, y'all got to go to the surf shop and buy one. Literally came down that
same
day. And he bought one. And he was like, bro, when do you want to ride?
He was like a party promoter or something. He was trying to get it at his parties that he's promoting to, and everything. Like he was about it.
Well, and that's the thing about the Stoke, right? When you get the Stoke, it's kind of hard to avoid. So like talk about that as well. Like, what does the Onewheel community look like? I know what it looks like, but for those out there that don't really know what the Onewheel community looks like, can you explain that?
You would be best to explain this, but I want to add something in, like not just being able to explore more places, like you said, in through the city. The ride itself is a whole experience, and it's just so fun to be in, and to realize that there's other people that are excited about that and enjoy that as well, and you can share that with them. Like there's not really many opportunities for that as an adult, and it's pretty special.
I think a lot of it too, for me and Dwayne at least, it was such a new thing when we first joined on, and there was almost like a sense of like, dude, we're all joining this like startup together, and it's this brand new thing that's like that not very many people know about, and if you do know about it, you instantly have that connection.
Exactly.
So I think that is the bond that everyone felt, in the early days of Onewheeling, right? Now it's starting becoming more and more mainstream, which I love. But with that, there's going to be, more and more people, and I see it more like mountain biking and you know, the bike culture now. Like there's all these different, you know, sections of the bike culture now. You have mountain bikers or BMX bikers and people that like to do like, you know, road biking and all that. And it's becoming more and more like that with one-wheeling too. But the community is just so fun in the sense that everyone just wants to come together and enjoy, you know, this board together. No matter if you like to ride trails, if you like to do tricks or whatever, there's that instant connection. So I think that is still fresh and new, and it's just kind of cool to be part of that.
The stoke is real.
It really,
I mean,
you feel it.
With established sports like mountain biking, I think it's easier to get to that place of taking it for granted. But when you're riding a one wheel and you see somebody else out on a one wheel and you don't know them, you're like, oh my gosh, you're experiencing this too. Isn't this crazy?
Dude, I've dapped up so many people just riding by, like, I don't know you, but once we lock eyes, it's like, you know, it's like past each other. And again, that was, you know, I've laughed on a one wheel, I've sang songs on I've cried on a one wheel. Like and that was the one thing that would make me want to share that with other people, because it was one of those things where even as, you know, being on the rise or just kind of doing my thing on a one wheel, it's like being able to experience it, and it's kind of hard to put to words the one wheel experience, because it's like it's very liberating. It's, you know, you said something earlier where it was like, oh, to recapture this as an adult. When you said that, I automatically thought about when I was a kid and you saw all the bikes outside of somebody's house and you knew that's the spot. That's what it felt like as an adult with one wheel. It's like we're back to this childhood likeness, you know. And one of my favorite quotes, so C.S. Lewis is one of my favorite authors, and one of my favorite quotes from him is, he said, the moment of friendship is when you meet someone and then you say, oh, you too? Like, oh, you like this as well?
If you know, you know.
And then that bond is just there, right? So throughout the journey, what do you feel like has been one of the biggest struggles in starting up this business? And like, whether it's past, present, like, what is something that you feel like is this constant grinder that you have to kind of move with?
For me, I think it's keeping that passion alive and keeping that, just remembering why you did it. And things like this and retelling our story kind of reignites that, you know. I tell the guys all the time, like, we are fun dealers. Like, that's what we sell, fun here, you know. And it is so re-energizing whenever you remember like why you did this, you know, and you retell this story. Just bringing back like that sentiment of feeling like a kid again is very, like, we get that common, like, a lot of customers tell us, you know, I feel like a kid again, and it doesn't have to be on the one wheel. Like even people that buy the e-bikes and whatnot, and it's something that you almost forget to have fun, you know. And I love that. That is something that kind of is something that we kind of learn to refine that passion, because when you start feeling like it's work, it's not fun, you know. And it's like, well, why am I doing this, you know? And I think that's a big struggle for me is realizing like you did this for, you know, this reason, and not to lose sight of that.
So like, you know, I think especially like a lot of photographers, videographers, creatives fall in that space where you're just like, you're weighed down by like the mundaneness of it, like the day-to-day thing, where in the beginning it's like this new passion, and
exciting,
so having to like almost reignite that. How you said the conversation is always a great way to start, but I think that's a really good point. What about for yourself?
Similarly, staying connected to the passion of it. It's very easy to just feel overwhelmed with all the work tasks or the uncertainty of running a business and all the things to have to figure out, the problems that arise. And it's okay that it is going to take work to run a business. Like, expect that. Put in that work and connect to having fun with others and enjoying these fun ways to get outside and play.
Well, and that's also the thing. I think so many people think, hey, I'm going to quit my 9-to-5 to pursue my passion, and that's going to free up all my time. And I tell people, if you're going to do that, you're changing a 9-to-5 to a 24/7. Right? That's what running your own business is. But the place where I found so much joy in running my own business and doing my own thing is, one, you get to choose who you want to be around, right? Like, you get to work with fun people if you want to work with them, and, you know, having employees you get to hire and, like, again, share this knowledge, share that excitement with. I think I love. But the other thing is also, like, sometimes in running a business, there's these really fun moments, like whether you get a job or a gig or a client you didn't think you can get. Like, has there been something like that for y'all where it's like, yo, like, we got this, or we got to meet this or do this, that reignited that stoke?
For sure.
You mentioned big client. Matthew McConaughey actually stopped by our shop recently. That was pretty cool. Just to, obviously, I mean, he's like the mascot of Austin, right?
Yep.
It's like an honor, to have him stop by. That was huge. Unfortunately, me and Dwayne were actually teaching EFoil lessons on the water that day.
Oh,
so
no.
Our guys got to meet him.
Wow.
We missed that, but just the fact that he was here, that was, when you said big client or something, that's obviously top of mind.
Did he come here for a board?
He got a few e-bikes, I think.
Yeah.
What about for yourself? Like, what has been a good, like, peak moment?
For me, the peak moments are being able to teach e-foiling or one-wheeling, e-foiling especially, and seeing people experience that for the first time.
Yeah.
And seeing them like have the realization that they can do this and they can experience this. It's really rewarding.
How often do y'all do the like teaching classes and stuff like that? Or is it like a one-on-one basis? More.
Yeah, it's normally a one-on-one basis or a small group.
Okay.
Those are available for people to book. Nice. But yeah, we'll be doing more and more of that.
Yeah, and we do demos almost daily here at the shop. Like if you just wants to try out the one wheel or whatever, we'll do that.
Wow.
Yeah, since we're not right on the water, we can't just go and do a demo on the water.
Yeah. Which would be great, right? Hey, second job, it's like right. All right. So how has, and I know we talked about this earlier, so that's where it's kind of like, I wanted to save those questions for later, but like how have you felt the pros and cons of social media? Again, something like this is very unique. Matthew McConaughey was by. Like, so do you find like social media has been a great way to spread the word, or how have you guys used it in good or negative ways that you think?
Yeah. I don't think we've been using it enough. That's for sure. Yeah.
I think it's a great platform to share a story.
Yep.
And, I think we're already like exposed to our followers and our customer base. It's a little bit harder to use that as a marketing tool to bring in new people. That requires a little more strategic plan.
Hey, that's fine. Doing good. You can get in the shot. It's all good. So what about for yourself?
Like I said, I don't think we use it enough. There's definitely more I think I can learn from you in that aspect. Definitely take a few pages out of your book. But like Dwayne said, I think it's great for what we've really been using it for is documenting our story. I mean, it's crazy to kind of just look at our first few posts that we posted, even to where we are now. The shop looks almost empty. When you look at some of our posts from back in the day, there's almost nothing in here, and so it's really cool to just see,
And I think I may have some of that footage. From
actually, you were you had a few drone shots in there. I remember from when we first started trying to make a few social media posts. I think that is definitely something we need to leverage more, just to share our story, just let the people know that we exist. I think that was really hard for us at the beginning, just letting people know we existed. I mean, we sell stuff that is so new, so a lot of people don't even know these products exist, much less that a store, that sells these products, exists. So I think that's something we really need to start doing more, just letting people know that
what do you feel is keeping you from that? Like, is there like, what is that barrier?
I would say not having a clear path of like what is going to be actually useful for our business to do, like what's actions to take on social media. It's hard to see like what impact you're having. Like you can get likes, but I mean, am I just, and not only on top of that, you have to have really good discipline to be interacting with social media and not getting distracted. So for your business.
And I think I mentioned it with you earlier when we were talking in the parking lot about just the reach, like, well, what's my audience? I feel like usually people are using social media, whatnot, to, for a national scale or a global scale. And I feel like this is more for our local, our Electric Surf Co more serves, Austin, but, there might be something I need to change.
Well, and this is, this is where I like having fun, right? When I get to talk about social media and ways that it can be used, I get and almost like what you guys are saying, right? When you get someone on an e-board, when you get someone on a one wheel, and then they begin to be like, "Oh, I can do this." That's the way I feel about social media. Because I get this from so many people, young dude. There's times I'm teaching 21, 22-year-old how to use Instagram and TikTok. I'm 38. You grew up with this. Why am I teaching you all? Like, you should be teaching me But at the same time, like I remember it's like, oh, I've been learning this for 10 years now, right? Like the first company I worked for was a glass company. And I remember the owner of it, he was a big Gary Vee fan, and he put this thick stack, and it's like, hey, read this and implement all this. So I was creating content, man, for this company, maybe 2 or 3 posts a day for a year, YouTube. And so once I stopped doing it, you know, and that's kind of what started Ariel Austin was I was doing it so much to where when I stopped, I was like, what the hell is wrong? Like, why is my camera sitting there? Like, why is, like, I need to do something with my drone. Like, I just felt this, like, anxiety because I was so used to creating every single day to where now it's like the thing I just know how to do, right?
Yeah.
So for me, one of the ways, you know, I always feel like you guys could be promoting the shop is definitely, like, showing what you can do on a Onewheel on an e-board. So, like, Austin is a very touristy town, right? So I think implementing this to your local spots, like, how many coffee shops are there around here, right? How many great restaurants and all this kind of stuff. So, you know, hey, this is a write-off for your business. You could take, both of y'all can hop on a Onewheel, ride to a really dope coffee shop and talk about like, hey, we just checked out this spot and we didn't spend money on parking or on gas because we had our Onewheels, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you can rent these throughout the day. You can rent this for the week. So talking about the benefits of homie that was here earlier with the e-bike, he was just like, hey, cars are expensive.
Yep.
Gas is expensive. This is expensive.
Traffic is not fun.
I'm going to be here for 4 years in college. Why waste my money on a car that I'm just going to give up in a few years? That's why I bought an e-bike. So I think, one, hey, having these conversations with customers and being like, hey, and this is, I know this because I was teaching some car dealership people how to kind of become salesmen. And so what I was telling them, it's like, you know your clients, they speak to you every day. They tell you why they're buying something and why they're not buying this other thing. What you need to do is then take that, make this avatar of a person and sell to them. And I think that's where a lot of people miss social media, that they think, oh, it's the algorithm. And I tell them, no, it's the audience. Who are you trying to go for, right? So one, you guys are in a very niche market to where you can, man, think about how many people visit Austin a day. How many tourists come to Austin a day? Those could be intros to reels. Hey, are you gonna be visiting Austin in August? Boom. And then you just drop all this kind of stuff. And that's where I like using ChatGPT. It's like, just type everything in there and it spits it out for you. So for me, those are a few ways that I feel like in a niche market and what you guys do. The other thing is like, isn't there that dope ass coffee shop or restaurant that sits on the lake?
Mozart's?
No, not, well, there's
Right,
Mozart's.
Right,
Yeah, there's like a restaurant my cousin always goes to where people do their jet skis and stuff like that, and they park it there, and you can park your boats and stuff. But
Little Hut?
one of those, I can't remember the name, but that's what I'm thinking too. It's like taking an e-board where you can ride over there and being like, hey, we got here without, you know, we broke this and that, and again, getting drone shot up in the air. I'm not trying to pinch myself. I'm just saying drone. So that's where for me, it's like, I think a lot of this stuff sells itself, but that's where you guys need to just be like, how do we have fun with it? And that's where social media comes in and saying, sharing the stoke online that way.
Are you saying we could have fun for work?
Yeah, I know.
Just play?
I know. It's so, and I think as entrepreneurs, I know I'm guilty of that all the time, where I feel like I can't, right? Hey, this is a job. I need to take it serious.
Right.
And for whatever reason, we've grown up to think fun stuff or serious things can't be fun. And that's where it's like, yeah, this is your job and this is what you do, but at the same time, the way you seriously. The way you break through that mold of just like, oh, the mundaneness, is by having that fun and being like, okay, I don't have to be serious all the time.
Let's actually do what we're selling. That is having fun.
Exactly. And you know, that's where for me, I always say marketing, because then in my business, it's not just, hey, we're going to create the content for you. We also curate it. So it's like, we'll do the posting and this and that, but then we also do the marketing. Because what I feel like so many businesses get wrong is, hey, I posted this one thing. Guess I can't post that again. It did so well. Man, I wish I could make another one like that. Keep posting. Post that once a week. Post that once a month, because as your audience grows, they rarely ever go back to your old stuff. So if the one post or the 2 or the 5 posts that work for you, if you post that once a month, and Instagram now has trial reels. So you can post that as a trial reel. Your audience won't see it, but this new audience will. And you can
really
fresh to them.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. It's, you know, especially with Instagram right now, they're in a place where they want more reach and they want you to get more reach. And so they release this thing called trial reels, to where if you don't want your audience to see it and you're just testing it out,
interesting.
Thing,
okay.
That's what I've been doing. A lot of my stuff has been trial reels, because it's like, this isn't my normal post, but it's something I want to start doing more of, right? So a lot more social media knowledge, a lot more content and stuff like that. And it's like, but I know my audience isn't going to engage with it because they don't know me for that. So I've been doing that as trial reels. A lot of my old content that performed really well, I either repost it or I post that as a trial reel.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the job of a trial reel, is to get you more of an audience.
Test
And like
the
I
waters,
said,
huh?
yeah, and like I said,
Yeah.
for y'all, when text on screen to say, hey, if you're visiting Austin in this month or, you know,
Right.
this week, come down to Lecture Surf Shop. If you want to be like, we're promoting this, we're having
Yeah.
a sell on this, or
Yeah.
this QR code or this discount code to get you a free 1 hour ride, whatever you guys want to do, that's where now these posts are generating you money,
Right,
right?
right.
Or with Instagram and all this kind of stuff, you could actually start selling merch. So if you guys wanted to put merch on there that they could just click and buy,
Yeah.
that's how crazy it can get with social.
I don't think we have good reasons of why we're not doing that more.
Yeah.
Personally for me, I have this story that, it needs to be like this really high quality photo and have a good caption and to be able to put it on Instagram. But yeah,
Well,
hold us back.
And that, man, I'm glad that you brought that up, because I think that is something that I've heard so much from people is, okay, but what camera should I get? Okay, but what editing or what this or what
Right.
that? And I'm like, what iPhone do you have?
Just do it with what you have.
It's like, what iPhone? Oh man, I have the, you know, I just got the new 20,
Yeah.
you know, iPhone
Yeah.
15, I took 14, 13, 16. It's like, great, that shoots
Yeah.
4K.
Amazing.
That
thing.
shoots 1080p.
Yeah.
You can download CapCut, and that's a free editor. CapCut has templates on there to where you just plug in your videos and your photo in a template and it edits everything for you.
Mhm.
So now right, and you were saying we have all this old content. CapCut saying, well, just throw it on there and I'll do what I'll do with it. You know what I mean? So that's where a lot of this, you know, people are afraid of AI, but I'm like, why?
Oh, it's making it so much
Yeah,
easier to do that
it's, yeah,
stuff.
it's so much easier. So for me, it's like when I was, and this is, you know, not to drop a course I'm working on, but one of the courses I'm working on personally is how you use this stuff for your
Yeah.
business. Because at the end of the day, I'm one person and I have a team of people that with me that we do this, but we can only take on so much work. My thing that I told people, it's like, I want you to not hire me because I want to train you, your employees,
Yeah.
to do what I do.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, when it comes to this big production, this big video, like, sure, I'll do that. But when it's like the everyday content that you guys could be doing, it's like, let me just teach you how to do it.
Yep.
So as your revenue grows,
Yeah.
then you could hire somebody to do these bigger things. You know?
Teaching men to fish.
That's
A
right.
1000%, man. All of that to say that, yeah. So that's where, you know, I know social media, and again, it's one of those things where if you've done it for so long, right, like finances,
Yeah.
to you could probably just like, oh yeah, this isn't hard,
Yeah.
taxes, blah, blah, blah. This is how you do this and that. For you, it's easy because you've done the reps.
Mm.
But now social
Yep.
media, it's like, oh man, this is a whole new learning curve. And that's where
It takes effort in the beginning.
it does,
Yeah.
man. So that's where I try to eliminate so much when it comes to that stuff, whether it's on my Instagram, on
Yeah.
YouTube, whatever. Because it's like, one, it's not scary, and two, I want businesses like yours to thrive. And so I hate gatekeeping because it's like, why am I going to hold secrets, or why when I say this when that's going to make me look better because now I'm the expert in this area, right?
Mhm.
So I feel like for y'all, that's another really good avenue to, you know, and as much as you guys are open to talk about it, but it's like how you change the tire out on your one wheel, right? Maybe if somebody can't afford to do it
Yeah.
here, so you do a video, you know, throw a camera on you, or, you know, have it off to the side. Hey, this is how you do it. Take it off this way, do this and that. And if you need the tools, we sell them here. If you need the tire, we sell it here.
Mhm.
So now you're giving away the knowledge, but they still need the substance. They
Yeah.
still need the thing. That's where you guys come in.
Yep.
And this is where problem solving is a big area for you guys.
Yeah, YouTube is a huge opportunity for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's scary whenever I realize I'm not following my own advice, because this is a question I get asked all the time when people are like, you know, like I want to do this, I want to do that, but this, but that. I'm like, just do it, right?
Yep.
Just do it. Like you said, you have a phone, you have a camera, just start doing it, you know. And it's like, once you start doing it,
Yeah.
you'll figure out how to make it better.
Mhm.
You'll sort of figure out how to, you know, refine that process and everything. And it's just,
We already know.
yeah, we're just, yeah, I just need to just
Yeah.
follow my own advice and just do it and figure it out as we go. you know?
There's a great quote that I heard that was the answer to your problems is in the work you're avoiding
Yeah.
all day.
Oh, yeah.
Dude,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
because I'm in the boat where I love creating content,
Mhm.
but I'll create it so much to where I don't even edit any of it. Because I'm like, oh, I filmed 4 videos in a day. Awesome. I gotta edit all that. Great. Now that one edit's gonna take a week. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's where I kind of fall on the other side where, you know, I'm like, everything could be content to where I over create sometimes. And dude, I'm looking through my terabyte. I'm like, I never edited. I never posted this.
Yeah.
I have so. Again, I'm sure you guys have so much on your phones that is already content that it could just be stuff on screen. You could do like a green screen voiceover. Your head's on the corner. Oh, and this is when we first opened up, man. Oh, I remember that was such a big this and that. Oh, and then next photo. Oh, this is my son. Oh, and he was enjoying it. This is him riding when you. Dude, that is the content, right? Because then, how many parents out there get one for their kids? Hey, this is me and my son riding. We rode to this bakery. We rode to this coffee shop. You need to share the stuff with your son. If you come on down, I'm telling you, man. And again, this is where I have fun because I'm like, your life is the content.
Yeah,
that's all it is. You know what I mean? And that's what people love the most is, again, AI's out there. AI's creating stuff, and people are already kind of realizing like, oh, that's AI. That's this. So when it puts a face in the company, right? Hey, you guys are posting about the shop. Yeah, we're just selling this, you're doing this, but it's you guys every day working in and out, getting to know the employees, the owners. That's where you guys are going to move mountains with that. You know what I mean? And I'm just saying this because I love you guys, right? Like for me, it's like I know you, I get to talk to y'all, and it's like if you guys just did that on a daily basis, whether it's Instagram stories. The one thing I always recommend for the first week or so, schedule 30 minutes. Hey, 30 minutes, I'm going to film this. In 30 minutes, I'm going to edit this. Whether it's good, perfect, or done, 30 minutes film, 30 minutes edit, I'm just going to post it. Because then once you start seeing that traction and you're doing that maybe once a day, once a week, you start getting those reps in to where it's like that one edit that maybe took you 30 minutes, after a week, hey, it took you 5. So now you can film 3 videos and edit them in 30 minutes. And now you got 3 posts. Now that's, is another tidbit. Instagram wants you to post 10 reels a month, and that's when it kind of takes you a little bit more serious. So if you're doing 3 reels a week and a couple carousels, that's all your posts for the month, and that's just you guys getting old content, right? So I just say that because I want to make social media less scary for you, for the audience, because this is something I hear all the time. It's just like, yeah, but it's this, yeah, but it's that, and we're in the same boat where it's like, I know, it's just. You got to do it, right?
And I'm glad that you're here.
Thank you.
Going back to the Onewheel, there's no better feeling than when someone else does that thing that you're encouraging them to do, and they have that. This is why you love it so much, or this is why it's so. So I want to get there with social media for you. And that you can be like, man, I'm trying to tell you, this is.
Well, and how you said there's something you said earlier. And there's something you said earlier about just like. Are we just doing it for the views? Are we doing it for the likes? Like what, because again, it's a business. So you're not just like likes aren't paying the bills. Follows aren't paying, depending on how much you get, But that's where it's like, how do you use this to generate sales? Or how do you use this to bring it all back to the business? And that's where for me, it's like, when you show what you're using, that you're already striking up like, oh man, that was like fun. Oh, I wish I could. And then it's like, hey, if you can't afford it, that's where you drop in the rentals. That's where you drop in this and that. Because at the end of the day, this is something people want to do, right? And like I said, there's Segway tours that prove it. So it's just making, to me, the one thing that I always tell people is, back in the day, it was door to door. Knock on the door, hey, can I sell you these knives? No, okay, next door, right? Then it went to billboards, right? Oh, you got to drive. Oh, there it is, there it is. Well, nowadays, everybody's
reel to reel now, huh?
Nowadays, the door is right here. And it just takes a few seconds for you to do the knocking. Right? So the one thing I would always recommend is, one, text on screen. That is the game changer for everybody. It's like once you add a text on screen, so if you're putting together like a part on the Onewheel, let that be the title for the first 3 to 5 seconds, right? Like, changing out a treaded tire on a Onewheel XR. Oh, so everybody, so whoever's watching this, they know this is what it is. Second thing, captions. You have CapCut, upload that video to CapCut, press captions, does it for free, it auto-generates your captions. Boom. Okay, sweet. Head, captions, that's about it. If you guys want to add some photos and some transitions, all that's free. CapCut has royalty-free music, has free transitions, has free everything. So I tell people, as an editor, if I had CapCut 5 to 10 years ago, I would have been a way better editor now because it's just so easy. So that's where it's like, all of this is now plug and play when it comes to AI and social media.
There used to be a lot of big barriers, right? Oh, you're going to have to upload it to your computer and use Adobe Premiere and all this I
remember
wait for it to process.
Exactly. I remember the first time I ever filmed a sponsor me video for, because I used to skate. And there was this company that I was like, man, we want to sponsor you. They saw me in a competition. They're like, send us a sponsor me video. I spent a whole week having my little brother following me around with camcorder. I was trying to edit that thing for 3 days. Finally got it edited. And then I was trying to send it on email, and it wasn't sending. The file was too large. Yeah. There was no YouTube. There was no Google. There wasn't anything to search. How do I make this a smaller file size? A few days later, I think my mom or somebody ends up spilling water on the laptop.
Oh, no.
All that work done. And I just gave up because it's like, but now it's just, how many skate videos you see a 30-second clip, 360 flip over a 2-set, 1,000 likes, that guy gets a new board game, right? So that's where it's like, the phones, everything we have nowadays is such a low barrier to entry. It really just is getting over that mindset of saying, can I do it? Can I make it this? Can I make it that? And that's where I tell people YouTube University.
Yeah.
YouTube it, chat GPT it, and it lets you know everything you need to know.
Yep.
So okay. So let's do this other game. So what do you feel is a really good, or what do you feel like is a problem right now that you need to solve? Whether it's social media wise, whether it's marketing wise, like what is something that you guys would like to see more of in the next 3 to 6 months?
I would like more people to know about us.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess advertising is really something we haven't focused on much. It's been very organic, I would say, as far as our growth and just word of mouth. I mean, we have a Facebook and Instagram page. And I'm sure we get some.
No, y'all do. I see
traction
it.
there. But we're definitely leaving a lot on the table. So yeah, I guess seeing some sort of traction in our advertising and seeing that pay off, I think would be a huge benefit to us and a change I would like to see. Also, something I would like to take on myself, just because it's always been something I feel like it's been so daunting and scary because it's just unknown. You know. That and I need to get comfortable in front of the camera. You know, I think that's something that a lot of people like. People just get weird in front of the camera. You bust out the camera, I don't know what to do with my hands.
And you guys come off natural in front of the camera. And it's like,
Wait a minute, I thought this was a podcast. What's going on?
Yeah, man, and that so. And the reason I want to know that is because one, I'm going to send y'all some love and behind the scenes stuff. I'll send y'all something. But it's also like, I think that's where business struggles sometimes. It's like, I know that's where I struggled a lot when I was first starting was, hey, like people are paying me to make videos. Sweet. Okay. I'm just waiting for people to come to me. Oh, how much do you charge? How much do you want to pay? Oh, I only have this much. Okay. I never thought this was ever going to be a business. It wasn't until I started having a goal. All right, how much do I want to make a year? What do I want my time to look like? How am I going to do this? When I started asking myself those questions, it was like, oh shoot. So if I want to make $100,000 in a year, how much is that with taxes? And how much is that with this? Okay. So then how much should I be charging? I shouldn't just be like, hey, whatever you got. Or hey, to the people I like, right? And that's the other thing about my business is I love helping people. So for me, it's like, I don't mind working with bigger clients who have a big budget because then I can work with the food truck who has no budget. And they're like, hey, I can give you free food. Go for it. I don't care. Because at the end of the day,
I'll take your food as payment.
Because at the end of the day, for me, more than anything, I just love seeing people succeed. And if I could play a small part in that, I'm a happy person. So that's where, I know that's my passion. But then I also know I have a wife, 2 kids. My wife wants to have 5 kids. We'll see if that ever happens. But it's like, there's this bigger plan. And so once I look at this mountain and I start breaking it up into hills, then that's when I'm able to climb it, right? But if I just see the mountain, I'm like,
you're not gonna start climbing it.
You know how short my legs are, right? But then it's like, hey, this is a stopping point. Check who mid-camp.
I'm not gonna get there in one day.
Exactly. So that's where just knowing like where you guys want to take social media, what you want to use it for. Like, hey, we want to grow our audience. Okay, but we also want that audience grows to generate sales and X, Y, Z. All right. So then I would say, of course, I'm always going to say content, but one of the biggest ways that social media and every platform kind of has a way to do this, but the way that Instagram primarily, because that's kind of your always making platform, stories. I think 70 to 80% of people on Instagram are primarily on viewing stories. So that's one way to get people here. Is like I said, it's like if you are opening the shop or you're doing something, it's like or the employees is be like, hey, set up your phone when you're doing something and post it as a story. Because that lives there. People are like, oh, that's awesome. Then you can take that story and then you can make that into a highlight. So then you can, one wheel parts, and that could be 100 highlights that people are just clicking through. And that's going to get more traction. The other thing is shares. So shares are primarily through direct message. And Instagram has said that I think, man, 60% of what's being more of the interaction has been shares. I'm sure when you guys see something, I know me and my wife do this all the time. Oh, that's a funny video. I'm gonna send it to her. That's funny. I'm gonna send it to her. So DMs and messages are the main way to do it. That's where the knowledge you guys have is gonna be a great way of getting all those shares.
Yeah.
Because exactly what you said, man, I feel like we're so local. How do we expand? Well, you guys may be local, but e-bikes and Onewheels are everywhere.
Yeah.
So share the knowledge of how to fix it, how to customize it, how to do this and this and that.
Yeah.
So then the people who are out there are watching you guys, and then the algorithm is going to say, oh, this audience like this, and then boom, and then it'll generate to Austin and all this kind of stuff. But that's where I think you guys need to take it as well. It's a story or two a day. Whether it's, hey, we're selling this, we got this new product in, unboxing some of the new stuff, that's going to be awesome because people love that stuff, right? And then the second thing is just be more authentic, right? You guys are awesome. You guys love what you do. Share the stoke, right?
Yeah.
That's what we want to do, just spread the stoke. Like, that's what it's all about.
Man, so is there anything else you guys want to talk about when it comes to whether business, the shop, marketing? Like, I'm gonna lob it up to you guys. I know there's the Float Fest going on.
Yes.
I'm gonna try to make it. I want to make it because I feel like a punk that I haven't been out there, and I see all the freaking insane things that go on there. So I know that's coming up.
Yeah. April 3rd through 6th. So
There you
that's through Lemonade Float Co. It's another brand that I co-own with CJ.
Nice.
But yes, if that's something that you guys think you guys can make it out to, please come out. It's
and
a lot of fun.
How intense is that? Because it looks. Talk about motocross dirt bike.
Yeah.
That's kind of like
it's
that.
as tense as you want to make it, though. Really. So we have, there's food trucks, there's music, there's people that come out that don't even ride one wheel, so you can just bring your bike out there.
Nice.
You can bring a regular mountain bike, you can bring an e-bike out there, and then people that ride hard. There's tough trails, but there's also smooth trails too as well. So there's a wide range of skill level of people that go out there. But again, you don't have to have a one wheel to enjoy it. So it's April 3rd through 6th. LemonadeFloatCo.com has all the information for Lemonade Float Fest.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the best one-wheel racers in the world are going to be there.
Best one-wheel racers in the world.
That's what I was going to say. There's some dope people out there.
Yeah, so One Wheel Racing League is a league that Future Motion puts on for one-wheel racing.
No way.
And we were sanctioned for our racing last year. So this year's same thing. We're going to put on a fun race for them and bring out some of the best racers in the world as well. No, it's a fun event for sure.
So, and just when you were talking about that, it sparked a question in my mind that this would be great for content.
Yeah.
So, what I'm trying to think about asking. You guys have taught, I'm sure, hundreds of people how to ride one wheels. What do you think is the best one wheel to ride and why?
It depends on the person.
Yeah, no,
right. Which model one wheel?
Yeah, like just overall, because I know right now, and this is where this is also not going, because we're out here talking. Some guy wanted to ride my one wheel, and then it cleared. I'm like, well, you had inside of a waiver because you're a smart man. But for me, I was like, oh yeah. But what you said was, oh, use this one because it's a wider board. So automatically, you thought smaller pint is going to be a little bit more nimble. You may not handle it. So, for beginner one wheel riders, what do you think is a great one to ride?
Yeah, I think it's really dependent on the rider.
Okay.
So there are kids that like pick up one wheeling when they're really young. There's also adults that start riding. So it really just depends on who the rider is. We have every model that they offer, and that's something that's awesome to see too. Is Future Motion has really stepped up their game, just the different models of one wheels that they offer. So there's boards that have a lot of speed. There's also boards that have a lot of range, and then everything in between. I don't know. What would you recommend, I guess, for a kid versus an adult?
That's a good way of putting it.
Well, the pint is smaller, more maneuverable, and a lower price point, so it's an easier entry board. And really, it's been fairly recent that they added all these models. I would say if you're really probably the most well-rounded board now is their newest board, the XR Classic.
Really?
Yeah, because it's a great platform. It's got good range and good power, and it's more stable than the Pine.
It's a good price point too.
Really?
So the top of the line board right now is at the GTS series board. I mean, it can get over $3,000. They have different models of that too, even. But that board advertised top speeds at 25 miles per hour. So if you want speed, that's the board you go with, the GTS series. But yeah, the XRC that Dwayne mentioned, I think Future Motion did a great job at getting a board that's kind of the general board for everyone. It's not too expensive. I think it's about $1,800, and then it's not as heavy. And the top speed is advertised about 20 miles per hour.
Wow.
So it's a very good board for just the general population, I feel like. And then the Pine is the smaller factor board, so it's good for kids as well. They got the Pine X.
I'm the size of a kid, so
And you made
it also depends on how you want to ride too, not just whether you're size too. Some people want something compact, small, easy to throw around, film with.
That is a huge bonus to the Pine.
Absolutely.
And I think it's a big advantage to come try a couple different models and
Exactly.
see which one feels good for you.
Yeah. For videographers who like to ride Onewheels, we have a term called floating. If you're riding the Onewheel, you're floating. So I like to say they're floatographers. But yeah, for floatographers, you know, Pines are great just because they're very compact. The XRC will be a little bit more stable, I think, of a ride. But a lot of people like to use them as just like a dolly. Right?
So let's put these scenarios.
Yeah.
I just moved here. I live downtown.
Yeah.
I have a tech job. I don't need a car.
Yeah.
What one? Let's say I'm 6'3", 200 pounds.
Yeah.
What would be a good one wheel for me to ride just to go from the apartment?
Yeah.
You know, something that lasts me almost all day
Yeah.
with a charge.
Definitely the GT or the GTS series if you want that little extra oomph. But yeah, the GT has the most range. So that'll, you know, be perfect for a replacement for your car if you live downtown, if you live somewhere where you are, honestly, if you live downtown, people get away with not driving their car ever if you just want to stay in the downtown area. So that's a great board just because of the range it gives you and everything, and the bigger form factor as well. Yeah.
What would you say?
I would say GT for somebody that big.
Yeah.
GT.
Well, what if I'm a father? I want to get a board for me and my son.
Yeah.
We're just in the neighborhood. We're not going to go crazy with it. Maybe, you know, under 15, 20 miles.
Yeah, this is a common scenario actually where fathers come in, they say they want to get it for their son and end up coming back, you know, next week or a few months later. It's like, all right, we're fighting over this board too much. We actually got to get two. But usually when that scenario comes by, people will buy either like the Pine X, maybe the Pine S now that they have that, has a little bigger form factor for the foot pad.
Yeah.
So that way father and son can share the board until eventually the son takes over the board and father has to step up and get the XRC or the GT. But that's a common scenario. Yeah, I think that's what I would recommend. The Pine X or the Pine S.
Nice.
Yeah.
And ladies, what do ladies usually ride? Part of the one group. That's the part of the one wheel group. There's so many people. A lot of girls come out and shred.
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
What's the more female attraction when it comes to the one wheel?
I don't know about the XR Classic since it's so new, but I would think that would be pretty appealing for most ladies.
Yeah. It's not as heavy as the GT. Still gets you, you know, I feel like the bigger the board, the form factor of that bigger board has that stable feeling. So they'll like that. But there's also a lot of ladies that also like the Pine S or the Pine X. Yeah.
Pine X.
It's a lot easier to kind of throw in the trunk and it's not as heavy. So
most men don't prefer riding the Pine just because the foot pads are smaller and your feet hang over. But that's usually not as much of an issue for the ladies.
So another question. I'm just thinking about good content questions for y'all. So I'm like, so when would you recommend a treaded tire versus the slick tires?
Those that like to ride trails, explore off-terrain, the treaded tire really comes into play.
Okay.
But that's also not to say you can't ride the tread on the streets or you can't ride a slick tire on the trails, you know. But there are people that strictly ride on the streets, and a slick tire would be more appropriate. I think that there's still the one-off situation.
I think you don't really lose anything by going with the treaded tire. It just adds a little more versatility. Probably more so, the factor is going to be the shape of the tire and the air pressure that you're using.
Yeah. So why is air pressure such a big deal? I found that out by accident because my wheels started getting a little bit, you know, softer.
Yeah.
But I found out I could do a little bit better things. So what does that have to do with it?
Well, it's gonna determine how soft how much give your tire has. When it has more give, it's gonna absorb more bumps. It's gonna be a little smoother and a little easier to ride, but it's also gonna be less responsive. and it's not going to be as efficient.
So that would be a lower PSI.
Lower
But it has
PSI.
more give.
So what would
Yeah.
you say a good range for that would be?
They usually say divide your weight by 10.
Okay.
So 10% of your weight usually. So if you weigh 150 pounds, 15 PSI. Yeah. And it's funny too because I never really paid attention to PSI, even though I probably should have, because it affects even your driving your car, right? You have 4 tires in your car. And it wasn't until after I got my Onewheel, I was like, oh, that's why PSI in my car is important.
Oh.
Because if you have higher PSI, you
Yeah.
get more range, right? It's better
Now you have
for
a real world example
exactly.
understanding of it. Yep.
So yeah, the PSI really comes into play. If you want to get as much range as you can, increase your PSI.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a little bit harder of a ride and
exactly.
more
You
bouncy on
Feel
bumps.
all the bumps and everything though. Yeah.
And so for like tricks, curb hopping, lower PSI is better because
I
tire
guess
wraps
it kind of
around
depends on your preference
Yeah.
when it comes to
Okay.
tricks.
Huh. I remember when I first started seeing people doing tricks, and like I said, when I saw the Float Fest and people launching off things, I'm like,
You
We're
can do
doing
that,
this
yeah.
now?
Okay, one thing that like the higher pressure is going to help you with is getting a lot more bounce. So
Yeah.
probably
Oh, wow,
tricks.
okay.
So
They're
that
gonna
you know
prefer
we
that.
can't really do the ollie, I guess, on a one wheel. They call it a bonk, or
Bonk.
some people call it a bollie. But yeah, the bonk basically is when the tire bounces off the curb or a rock or something like that. So if it has a higher PSI, it'll bounce off higher. And people actually get air
yeah.
going.
well, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
because the lower
Yeah.
tire, it's gonna kind of curve more
Exactly,
around whatever.
yep.
You're,
Yep.
that makes a lot
And
of
if you're
sense.
riding off road, the bumpier the terrain, the lower the pressure you want because it's going to be more comfortable and easier to ride that terrain.
So with y'all,
But you are going to sacrifice range.
with y'all's one wheel, what do you like to ride? I know there's a lot of specs.
Yeah.
Do you customize it, or do you have?
I was
the
gonna
favorite
say,
one?
yeah, which one wheel? So I have a one wheel that I like to take to the beach a lot.
Okay.
And if you're ever riding, like Dwayne was saying, off terrain or trails or even on the beach, I lower the PSI a lot.
Oh.
So that board has really low PSI. You'll sacrifice range, but it's a more comfortable ride. So my trail boards and the off-roading boards definitely have a lower PSI.
But you can just pump it up if
Exactly.
you want to ride on the street.
Yeah.
And do you what mode do you ride on?
So also depending on which board, I still have an XR board from back in the day. That was the Mission is my setup.
I like that one.
On the newer setups, on the GTs, I ride Highline.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll go Flow,
Yep.
but
Same.
Highline, is my
Highline.
go-to.
The Skyline is the
That's the pint.
pint one. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
I like to ride.
Yeah. I think that's like the highest power. I think. Yep.
Mhm.
Dude, have y'all had any bad spills on a one wheel? I know I'm a part of the Facebook group and multiple one wheel groups, and I've seen some horrible stories that people give up their one wheels because of a crash.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, "Oof, don't do it."
Yep.
Do y'all have any
Absolutely.
bad stories?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah. And then there's like questioning, wow, should I be doing this? Well, all I needed to be doing is balancing the risk and the reward a little better when I'm trying to keep up with the younger, faster guys, like for no reason really.
Yeah.
It's not worth it for me. It's more about having fun,
1000%.
enjoying myself, not getting injured, and understanding like kind of how that board works. And not want to push the
Yep.
speed, like.
Respect the board.
Yeah.
So I always
Yeah.
tell people that this thing, it looks like a toy, but it's a powerful machine, right? Just like a dirt bike. And that's why I tell people this is like an extreme sport, like a dirt bike. You know, you can have a lot of fun on it, but it's a serious machine. And it's like any board sport, I feel like. It comes with that territory, you know. People fall when they're riding board sports, but there's also a lot of how hard you want to push it.
Exactly.
If you just want to, you know, ride, chill, and cruise to the mailbox, get your mail, and come back, you know, it's the probability of you falling is probably really small,
Yeah.
right? If you want to go hard and send it off, you know, mountain bike trails, do 6-foot drops, whatnot, you're pushing
Which
the limits. there,
people
which
have
people
done.
still do, yes.
Dude, I've seen people
Yes.
do wild drops. And I'm like, how is your
Yeah.
board still
Oh, yeah.
together?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I want to say the records are like 6-7 feet now, maybe
Yeah.
8 feet. Like people are
Dang.
And
dropping
those guys
off
are
on it.
so good at
Yeah.
just being able to fall and be fine.
Yeah. Do you ever think this will become an Olympic sport?
I hope so. I
that would
mean,
be cool to
it
see.
took long enough for snowboarding to come around and skateboarding
I
to
know.
come around. So I mean, maybe
Sure,
maybe X
eventually
Games.
there's
Maybe
going to
X
be
Games.
like
yeah,
you know electric stuff incorporated or technology incorporated into our sports.
yeah.
Man. All right. Is there anything else you guys have in mind when it comes to? Because again, I know y'all don't just sell one wheels. You got e-boards. You got e-bikes. Is there something that, you know, the EFoil is something that I see you guys. We film doing some stuff, and it's like, what is that like? You know, for someone who hasn't ridden one, someone who's probably seen it from afar, like what does that look like?
That's what I wanted to mention. Like, you can't really explain it. It is such a cool feeling to experience flying off the water. It's just like none other. It feels like you're in some futuristic like world, right? And you have control of it. and it goes exactly where you shift your weight. You know, it's
Wait, is that
very
control?
maneuverable.
I mean, it
The
is.
power
the
level is
trigger
controlled,
controls the speed.
but all
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
maneuvering is all through your weight shift.
So it's
very
almost like a
subtle weight
one
shift.
wheel on water.
Exactly.
Similar,
Exactly.
yeah.
It's a magic carpet, man. It's hard to describe because it's nothing like it. Yeah, it's like a magic carpet. You know?
And so how is it propelled? It's
Yeah.
there's a propeller.
there's
on the
propeller
water.
or
Okay.
jet.
Or a jet, yeah.
Yeah,
Propeller
at the
jet.
bottom of the mast.
Yeah, they have two different versions. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And so what do rentals look like with that? What talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so we do experiences and rentals.
Uh-huh.
The rentals come into play once we either have taught you before and we know that you can ride, or we obviously if you come in with experience already,
Yep.
you can take the board out for a rental. But most of our clients will come in with an experience booking first, where either myself or Dwayne or another EFoil instructor will take you out.
Yeah.
We'll show you, we'll teach you everything as far as learning the board, the safety tips and everything. Get you on the water. We'll jump in the water with you, show you how to ride, and then most riders pick it up pretty fast, 10, 15 minutes of lesson time, and they're riding.
Yeah, the neat thing is
Yeah.
you can experience the actual flying, the e-foiling on your knees.
On your stomach, laying down,
Really?
Yeah.
and then progressively get up,
It's
standing
a little
up,
harder to be able to balance when
Yeah.
you're standing up, but a lot of people are ready for that if they have any kind of board experience.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I always talk about the e-bikes because y'all so graciously let me want to do the Austin Marathon with, and I was so damn impressed by it because the San Antonio Marathon. I filmed the entire marathon on a full battery, and I looked down at the end of it, and there was still a full battery. And then I think y'all were closed the following day, so I took it downtown, rode around some more, and then after that, finally a tick went down.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how long do these things last?
You need to ride it until your
riding
legs
these?
wear out.
Yeah. So how long is like a typical bike compared to a one wheel?
On the e-foil or on the
an
one
e-bike
wheel?
versus a one wheel, like
Oh,
battery
e-bike.
life and all that.
I think it also just depends on the model. I mean, there are some e-bikes that probably can't outlast the one wheel.
Yeah. But it
so
also
just
is highly
depends.
dependent on how much you're pedaling. on
And
the
yeah,
e-bike.
exactly, right.
oh,
yeah,
yeah, 'cause
so
that's a big
the
positive.
thing too. Is people like you can exercise as much as you want on it, and people think, oh, if I get the e-bike, I'm not going to exercise, but you actually exercise more because you have the opportunity.
No.
Oh, I'm just going to pedal a little bit here and there.
The newer
and-
e-bikes have a torque sensor, so it's a much more natural. Like you're putting in pedal power and it's assisting you.
The pedal
But
assist.
it assists you. How much assist it gives you depends on how much power you're putting in. So the more you're putting in, the more it assists you. So it's a really great way to get around and still get exercise.
And if you're riding downhill, you can regen. So you'll add battery back
On
to
the
your
one wheel,
board. Yeah, some bikes I think have it too,
Oh,
but
yeah,
the one wheel
that's
has
true.
it. So it's it can also help just going downhill sometimes and just kind of regen a little bit.
That's I think if you're, and this is where I've thought about getting an e-bike because I've been riding my one wheel a little bit more.
Yeah.
And at one time it said it was at 80%, and then I rode it like maybe a block and it wouldn't turn back on. It said it was dead. I'm like, but I kept turning it on and it was saying 80%. So I had to walk to a coffee shop to charge it, and I'm like walking with a one wheel. I felt like such a loser. So I'm just like
The walk of shame.
Yeah. So that's where an e-bike. It's like, oh, ran out of battery.
Yeah, you just keep pedaling. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it just turned into a bike.
Yeah,
That's
man.
true. That's true.
Well, again, I'm gonna leave the window open. Anything y'all want to promote? Anything y'all want to say other than come on down and experience all these things?
Yeah, I mean, we sell fun, you know, so if you're into fun, come on down. I'm sure
Or
we
if
can
you
get you on
want to be
something.
more into fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
we
you
can
forgot
help
how to have fun.
Yeah. You forgot how to have fun. You need a one wheel.
Yes. Come
Or an
out
e-bike,
here.
or
Yeah, come
an
out here. We'll
e-foil.
get you a free demo on an e-bike or a one wheel. Get you something that you like to ride and enjoy. Just getting outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or come experience the e-foil out on the lake.
Yeah.
It's like there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have a second location on the water, so lessons and rentals will be a lot more convenient now.
Nice.
We'll do most of those experiences on Lake Austin now.
Okay.
So that's a huge.
And where's
Yeah,
the
this
location on
upcoming
that?
season. Yeah.
It's Lake Austin Marina,
Mhm.
Okay.
or is it Westlake Marina? Lake
No, it's Lake Austin
Okay.
Marina.
Lake
Yeah.
Austin Marina.
But yeah, that's something we're pumped for 2025. It was just bringing a better experience and better
Yeah.
rental process and just kind of showing more people the e-foil and
Yeah.
getting on the water. And
There's
having fun.
also the e-foil brand we carry is Flightboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have this thing called the Flight Scooter, which we're gonna
Yes.
have more of those this year. And it's essentially a big it's a big e-foil, but it has a handlebar, so it makes it pretty much impossible for anybody
Yeah.
to do it without having to do the board balancing because you're holding on to it.
And it's a great addition. I feel like it was
it's a water
similar to So similar to like how
flying water
when we
scooter,
had the
yes.
one wheel and we wanted to bring on e-scooters and e-bikes and like that. It just I think surfing and that type of those sports, it might intimidate people.
Yeah.
And the scooter really makes it where anyone, mom and grandma
Right.
can step on and just pull the trigger and go.
That's
Yeah.
the video right there.
Yes.
Grandma
Experience of it?
riding an
Yes.
EFoil.
Yeah. And then once you get the feel for that, maybe you're ready to try it on just the board.
Well, I mean, you guys said it perfectly. If you want to have fun, you want to get back to the stoke, you want to relive your
Yes.
Bud Bundy moments, right? The 7 touchdowns in one game. That's an old reference. But if you want to bring the stoke back into your life, like come down to the electric surf
Feel
shop,
like a
man.
kid again.
Yeah, get you a one wheel, ride on an e-board, do all the fun stuff
Yes.
because at the end of the day, you deserve it as an adult, right? Like I feel like you need to give yourself the privilege to have fun, to say, hey, yeah, I'm doing work, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but if I can't have fun, then what's the purpose,
Yeah.
right?
Going back to what we were talking about earlier in the podcast, it's just you can be serious.
Yeah.
You can be a serious adult, and you can still have fun.
Have
Adults are
serious
allowed to
fun.
have fun.
Have serious
Adults
fun.
are allowed to have fun.
If you're
yeah.
having fun, it just enables you.
Yeah.
It just makes you a more capable person in general. Like,
Have serious fun.
I love it, man. All right, well, y'all need to come down, show them some love, buy some. I'm saying buy some board. I'm not saying rent. I'm saying buy them because once you rent them, you're gonna want to take them home
Yes.
forever.
Yeah.
So make sure to get down here, and until next time, we'll catch you on the next one.
Yes.
Peace out, y'all. What? And dude,
I feel like we could talk all day, dude.
bro.